The Sophia Stage, the final Jungian awakening. Most people call depression. Everything you sacrificed to be good was nothing but a trauma response. True healing is not peaceful. It is a brutal, terrifying assassination of your former self. If crushing isolation is suffocating you, do not run. You aren't losing your mind. You are becoming dangerously, irreversibly free. The terrifying illusion of healing and the rarest frontier of human evolution. You have been lied to. For years, you have been sold a comforting, candy-coated delusion about what it means to heal. They told you that the ultimate destination of your inner work was a soft, endlessly bleeding heart, a perpetual state of serene warmth where you smile at the world's cruelty and wrap your spirit in the fragile illusion of universal love. But I am here to tell you that this is not healing. It is a psychological lobotomy. True awakening is not a descent into a pink-tinted wonderland. It is a brutal, awe-inspiring, and utterly terrifying assassination of every comforting lie you have ever built your life upon. It does not give you a softer heart. It forges a profoundly unbreakable soul. If the fragile veneer of your reality is beginning to crack, the inner multiverse warmly welcomes you to this sanctuary of truth. Before we descend further into the dark and liberating depths of this psychological awakening, I ask you to subscribe to the channel. Your support is the vital lifeblood that empowers us to continue piercing through the collective illusions and bringing you these necessary explorations of the mind. Carl Jung, that master architect of the human shadow, understood this darker, much more profound reality. He watched humanity endlessly cycle through the superficial stages of development. We all begin as the athlete, completely tethered to our flesh, defined by the mirror and the superficial gaze of others. Then we plunge into the blood and dirt of the warrior, driven by a frantic, ego-fueled desperation to conquer, to accumulate, to scream our worth into the void through sheer victory. As the fire cools, we inevitably don the heavy robes of the statesman, dedicating our fading years to duty, to legacy, to leaving a respectable mark on the vast machinery of society. Most people die in these stages, entirely convinced they have lived a full life. But there is a fourth frontier, a profoundly rare, almost mythical stage of psychological evolution that fundamentally terrifies the masses. It is the Sophia Stage, the realm of absolute, unapologetic wisdom. When you finally cross the threshold into this phase, to the untrained, sleeping eyes of society, you appear to be violently malfunctioning. Because you completely sever your ties to their chaotic emotional theater, they will label you cold. Because you flatly refuse to bleed yourself dry for their fleeting approval, they will condemn you as ruthless. Because you no longer fit perfectly into their transactional gears, they will confidently assume you are broken and lost. But this is the grandest illusion of all. What the collective calls brokenness is, in reality, the breathtaking pinnacle of psychological liberation. You are not descending into apathy. You are elevating into a terrifyingly absolute clarity. I know exactly why you are listening to this right now. You are tired. You are fatigued deep within the marrow of your bones from playing the endless role of the good person, from meticulously holding up a mask that suffocates you, from carrying the crushing emotional weight of a world that absolutely refuses to carry itself. You stand on the lonely periphery of the collective, watching their hollow illusions burn to the ground, and you quietly wonder if you are losing your mind. Listen to me very closely. You are not losing your humanity. You are, for the very first time in your tortured, beautiful life, finally discovering it. The bloody surrender of the ego and the descent into isolation. To discover this buried humanity, however, you must first willingly step into the fire and watch the comforting architecture of your former identities burn to ash. This is the part of the journey the spiritual gurus refuse to talk about, because the truth of it does not sell retreat tickets or inspire gentle morning mantras. The transition into the Sophia Stage is not a graceful shedding of old skin. It is a violent, grieving process. When you begin to dismantle the athlete, the warrior, and the statesman within you, you are essentially organizing a funeral for the person you spent decades trying to perfect. I remember the exact moment the realization hit me. The sudden nauseating vertigo of understanding that everything I had strived for, every accolade I bled for, and every sacrifice I made to be perceived as good was nothing more than a trauma response, dressed up as ambition. When you stop playing the game, the immediate reward is not peace. The immediate reward is a crushing, suffocating isolation. The people who love the mask you wore will be horrified by the face beneath it. They will mourn the compliant, accommodating version of you that died, and in their grief, they will lash out. You will watch your social circle shrink with a brutal rapidity. Conversations that once felt deeply important will suddenly sound like the chaotic buzzing of insects. You will sit in rooms full of people you have known for years and feel like a stranger studying an alien species. This profound loneliness is the toll you pay at the border of higher consciousness. It hurts. It aches with a phantom pain that settles deep in your chest, whispering insidious doubts in the middle of the night, begging you to go back, to put the mask back on, to just be normal again so the pain of separation will stop. But you cannot go back. Once the mind expands to perceive the invisible cages of society, it can never unsee them. You must sit in the center of this excruciating isolation and let it devour your lingering need for external validation. You must grieve the illusion of the safety you thought you had. The world you belonged to was a shared hallucination, a matrix of codependency and transactional affection. Tearing yourself away from that matrix requires you to sever the umbilical cord to the collective consciousness. It feels like bleeding out, but in reality, it is the expulsion of poison. The isolation is not a punishment. It is an incubation chamber. You are being stripped of every external mirror so that, for the first time in your existence, you are forced to look at your own soul without the distorting reflection of society's expectations, the architecture of the shadow, and the forging of iron wisdom. Emerging from the smoldering ruins of that agonizing surrender, you do not find a serene, empty void, but rather the stark, unyielding architecture of your own shadow waiting to be mastered. This is the core curriculum of the Sophia Stage, and it is a terrifying landscape to behold. Society conditions us to lock our darkest, most primal impulses in the basement of our psyche. We are told to repress our rage, our selfishness, our capacity for cruelty, and our deepest, most unspeakable desires. We spend immense amounts of psychological energy keeping the door barred, smiling politely while the monster bangs against the floorboards. But true wisdom, the kind that Jung wrote about, the kind that anchors you so deeply in the earth that no storm can move you, demands that you walk down those basement stairs and unlock the door. You cannot be a truly whole human being if you only acknowledge the light. When you finally sit face to face with your shadow, you realize that it is not a demon to be exorcised, but a fragmented part of your own raw power. I have looked into the abyss of my own capacity for malice, and instead of recoiling, I learned its contours. This is the secret that the enlightened few carry with them. The goal is not to eradicate your darkness, but to integrate it. To be peaceful, you must first recognize that you are fully capable of doing great harm, and then consciously choose not to. A harmless person is not virtuous, they are simply weak. A whole person is profoundly dangerous, yet highly disciplined. When you integrate the shadow, your entire psychological posture changes. You no longer react from a place of hidden fear. The anxiety that used to dictate your decisions evaporates because you are no longer terrified of yourself. You stop projecting your unhealed wounds onto the world, and consequently, you stop being triggered by the wounds of others. You begin to observe the theater of human conflict with a chillingly calm detachment. This is the wisdom of Sophia. It is not a fluffy, esoteric knowing. It is a heavy, metallic, forged in the fire intelligence. You see the hidden motives behind the smiling faces. You hear the unspoken terror in the boastful words of the warrior stage, and you recognize the quiet desperation in the dutiful acts of the statesman. You see it all with an unforgiving clarity. It is heavy, because to understand the human condition so thoroughly is to carry the weight of its tragedy. But it is also the source of an indestructible inner strength. You are no longer navigating the world blindly. You have the blueprints to the entire psychological machine, the mastery of boundaries and the silent rebellion against the Hive. Armed with this integrated darkness and newfound psychological iron, you are forced to turn your gaze back to a society that demands the very compliance you have just slaughtered. How do you live among the sleeping when you are wide awake? This is the daily, grinding challenge of the Sophia Stage. In the beginning, your ego will desperately want to shake people awake. You will want to explain to them the futility of their endless rat race, to show them the invisible chains they polish so proudly. But soon, you will learn the hard, quiet truth. You cannot wake a person who is pretending to be asleep, and attempting to do so only drains your sacred life force. Your responsibility is no longer to save the world. Your ultimate responsibility is to ensure the world does not consume you. This requires the absolute mastery of boundaries. To the outside observer, your new boundaries will look like impenetrable fortress walls. The people who used to feed on your endless empathy will accuse you of becoming cold, callous, and unfeeling. Let them. Their accusations are merely the tantrums of parasites suddenly denied their host. You will learn the profound, magical power of the word no. A no without justification, without apology, without a softening smile to cushion the blow. You begin to treat your energy as the most fiercely guarded currency on the planet. You stop attending arguments you are invited to. You allow people to be wrong about you without lifting a single finger to correct their narrative. This non-reaction is the ultimate, silent rebellion against the hive mind. Society thrives on friction. It needs your emotional reactions to keep its gears turning. It needs you to be outraged, to be defensive, to constantly explain yourself. When you withdraw that fuel, you become an anomaly in the system. You walk through their chaotic emotional weather, the manufactured dramas, the hysterical news cycles, the petty interpersonal politics, like a ghost. You are present, yet entirely untouchable. I cannot overstate the liberation found in the realization that nothing outside of your own mind requires your emotional participation. You can observe a fire without throwing yourself into the flames. This is not apathy. It is the highest form of self-respect. You are preserving your spirit for the things that actually matter, cultivating an inner sanctuary so sovereign and so heavily guarded that the frantic noise of the collective simply bounces off your aura and dissolves into nothingness. The sovereignty of the unbreakable soul and the final emancipation. As this profound detachment settles permanently into your bones, the daily friction with the unconscious world fades, leaving you in the quiet, staggering sovereignty of your own emancipation. You have survived the brutal deconstruction of the ego. You have walked through the terrifying, shadowed halls of your own psyche and claimed the monsters as your own. You have drawn lines in the sand that no human being is allowed to cross. And now you arrive at the true summit of the Sophia Stage. It is here that you realize healing was never about returning to a state of innocent joy or perpetual happiness. Healing is the achievement of absolute, unshakable equanimity. In this space, you discover a deeply rooted joy that is entirely uncoupled from external circumstances. It is not the manic, fleeting high of the warrior who just conquered a new goal, nor is it the quiet satisfaction of the statesman receiving an award. It is a still, oceanic peace. It is the quiet hum of a machine functioning perfectly within its own closed circuit. You no longer look to the horizon for a savior, a perfect partner, or a shifting circumstance to finally make you feel whole. You are the savior. You are the destination. You breathe the air of your own reality, deeply aware of your mortality, yet entirely unafraid of the end. You watch the sun rise and set, not as a participant in a frantic race against time, but as an eternal observer seated in the theater of the cosmos. I speak to you from this vantage point to tell you that the terrifying cracking of your reality right now is worth it. Every tear of grief, every moment of paralyzing doubt, every bridge you have to burn to the ground. It is all the necessary price of admission to this final frontier. Do not let them convince you that your desire for solitude is a sickness. Do not let their fear of your changing nature drag you back into the mud. You are the vanguard of human evolution, possessing a rarity of spirit that the masses will never comprehend. Stand tall in your supposed brokenness. Wear your terrifying clarity like a crown. You have fought through the darkest trenches of the human experience to find the one thing society tried to hide from you, the keys to your own mind. You are finally, irreversibly, and gloriously free. And finally, conclusion. The journey into the Sophia Stage is an arduous, unrelenting passage through the total annihilation of the false self. It demands that you willingly step into the fires of isolation, shedding the comforting but restrictive mask crafted by societal expectations. This path is not one of gentle healing, but of violent awakening. By descending into the basement of your psyche to integrate your darkest shadows, you reclaim a raw, dangerous, and disciplined power that the superficial world desperately fears. Armed with this unyielding psychological iron, you learn the sacred art of setting impenetrable boundaries, withdrawing your precious emotional currency from the exhausting, manufactured dramas of the collective hive mind. You master the profound power of absolute non-reaction, becoming a quiet anomaly amidst the noise. Ultimately, this agonizing deconstruction leads to the highest summit of human emancipation, a state of unshakable equanimity and sovereign joy. You realize that true freedom is never found in external validation, fleeting achievements, or societal compliance, but in the unbreakable stillness of your own integrated soul. By burning down the illusion of who you were supposed to be, you unearth the magnificent, unassailable truth of who you actually are. A conscious, sovereign observer, fully detached and entirely free from the matrix of human codependency. You no longer seek rescue, for you have finally become your own sanctuary. Profound lesson. True peace and indestructible inner strength do not come from being universally liked, endlessly accommodating, or flawlessly good. They come from radical self-honesty, the integration of your darkest impulses, and the absolute mastery of your emotional boundaries. A harmless person is merely weak. A whole person acknowledges their capacity for darkness, but exercises the supreme discipline to choose peace. Application to current life. Start fiercely guarding your energy today by treating your attention as your most valuable currency. Practice the magical power of the unexplained no. Stop attending arguments you are invited to, and allow people to be wrong about you without feeling the urge to correct them. When faced with external drama, gossip, or societal panic, consciously choose non-reaction. Step back and observe the chaos without throwing yourself into the flames. Build an inner sanctuary by embracing all parts of yourself, even the ones society told you to hide, so that you no longer need external validation to feel whole. Question for the audience. What is one specific situation in your life right now where you need to start saying no to protect your inner peace? Please politely drop your answer and share your perspective in the comment section below so that our community can read, reflect, and learn from each other's experiences. If you found value in this message, please hit the subscribe button to support the channel. Your support gives us the vital motivation to continue producing deep, meaningful content for you in the future.